Hey everybody, Jane here, and today I am doing a review on The Patron Saint of Lost Dogs by Trout. This was a book on my 5-star predictions video, and I put it on that video because I've read from Trout before. I read his book, Tell Me Where It Hurts, which is a non-fiction about a day in the life of a veterinarian. The author is a veterinarian. And I'd given that book the first time I read it 5 stars, and the second time I read it 4 stars. But I did really enjoy it. The second book I read from him was The Wonder of Lost Causes, which was one of my favorite books last year, and it was a 5 out of 5. So I was really eager to read more from this author. And especially because his books involve animals and veterinarians, and that is basically my buzzwords. Like, I love those things in books. Big James Herriot fan, so I could not wait to read this book. This book is about a man named Cyrus who inherits his father's veterinary clinic at his father's death. Now, him and his father have kind of a complicated relationship, and it is fair to say that Cyrus didn't really want this veterinary clinic. And this veterinary clinic is in debt, it's not in great shape, there's all kinds of issues with it, and he has just gone out to Vermont, where the clinic is, to kind of see if he can get it turned around so he can sell it. He's having some financial problems right now because of some legal issues he's having back home, and he just basically wants to get this thing, get it turned around, sell it to the highest bidder, and come back home. But this is not that kind of book. This is a feel-good, small-town book, so that's not what happens. I did enjoy this a whole lot, but I did not give it a 5 out of 5. This book ended up being a 4 out of 5 for me. I would assume, but I'm not sure, it's one of his earlier books, and I think I will have other reads from him that are 5 out of 5s, but this just wasn't quite it. This book takes place in the course of a week, and I think that while that made sense for this book, it also felt a little rushed. And everything that was happening to him in the course of a week was crazy. Like, that is a crazy week in your life. Another thing was the way the book started. I came this close to DNFing it. The first chapter or two, something happens, and I was like, okay, I'm assuming this is going to happen, but you get closer and closer to it looking like it's going to go one way, and I was like, if it really goes that way, I cannot continue this book. So, if you're reading it, I will tell you, the thing in the first chapter, it's okay. I didn't have to DNF it. But if it had gone a certain way, I'd have been DNFing that book all over the place. Although I should have realized from the back cover that that wasn't going to be necessary. But I didn't reread the back cover, so I freaked out a little bit because things were like going right up there. Anyway, there were a couple issues I had with this book, to be honest. The main one was just Cyrus himself. He is incredibly judgmental, and I think we are meant to see his character arc and to have him change, but I felt like he was just a judgmental person and not like judgmental about, oh, Vermont and these people, and they'll show me that they're not really small town hicks. Because I could have probably lived with that. And I think that's what the author was going for, but that's not what we got. He is just judgmental about everybody. There is a girl with a lot of piercings, and he has all these comments about her piercings and how weird they are. And, you know, he's just a judgmental person, and it's not like Vermont's the only place that has people with piercings. Come on. So this person is obviously incredibly judgmental, and, you know, it wasn't just like, I'm judgmental about the hick people in Vermont. It's, I'm just a judgmental person. So I didn't like Cyrus very much. I do think that he wasn't what the way I was reading him wasn't maybe what the author intended. I think the author was trying to show you this very socially awkward character who is judgmental because he just doesn't relationship with people, maybe even has a touch of autism possibly because he doesn't like to be touched, he doesn't have very much in the way of social skills, and like he is really brilliant in a house kind of way about animals. So like he'll see symptoms and be like, oh, that is probably what this is, even though typically up to this point he has not been a practicing veterinarian. He's been an animal pathologist. So he has been the one trying to figure out why animals die. He's basically been an animal, coroner. That's been his job up to this point. So he's not used to working with live patients. But because of all the things he's seen at autopsy, he's got that like sixth sense brilliance to him. Like, oh, I can figure out this weird off the wall thing that's wrong with your dog. So that kind of did remind me a little bit of House. So he's very similar to a veterinary version of House, except without the drug addiction and not nearly as humorous. The other thing that I really didn't like besides Cyrus was there is a female character. There's two female characters in the book that kind of throw themselves at Cyrus. And the one ends up being, we're pretty sure, his girlfriend, probably in book 2. The other is just the town hoe, basically. And I didn't like the way that she was done. We meet her, we've just met Cyrus, he's just done a thing, and he's out walking a dog. And this girl has never met him before, and basically she's out walking her dog, and she throws himself at him. And I was like, are you serious? And then, throughout the book, she's like throwing herself at him, and I'm like, is Cyrus that cute? Because I feel like he's not that cute. So that was not very well done. I didn't enjoy that aspect. And even the fact that, all these girls meet him and just think he's God's gift to women, but, he didn't have a relationship back home. The Vermont women just really like him. So there were things that didn't work in this book. And like I said, I feel like this is an older book by the author. Let me see if it says when the copyright date was. 2013. Okay, so yeah, this is years ago, and the writing has definitely improved since then. But so I'm gonna try to give it some grace. But I didn't love the main character, and I didn't love some of the elements. Now I'll tell you what I did love. Veterinary book. Awesome, fun, seeing him like save the dogs and crack the case and be like, this really obscure thing is why your dog is dying and I'm gonna save its life. I was all about that. I was all 100% about that. Also, the family dynamics. The things with with Cyrus that he realizes about why him and his dad don't have a close relationship, things that he misinterpreted about his dad and his relationship, things about him and his mother. The things we see as a child are not always the full picture and not always accurate. And it's interesting how much Cyrus is wrong about things because of, being a child and having experienced them and the frustration and anger that he has held. So him dealing with all the family stuff and the family dynamics, that was so good. So I enjoyed the animals. I enjoyed Cyrus dealing with his family stuff. There was tears and crying as he realizes that his dad was a better person than he gives him credit for, and that things that upset him about his dad weren't necessarily his dad's fault in some cases. And he finds out he's a lot more like his dad than he thought he was, where he thought he was very much like his mom. Some of this is very contrived, and it's a heartfelt, sweet, cute book, and it's kind of predictable in places. There wasn't too many places that knocked my socks off, but I enjoyed that. I was fine with the fact that it wasn't super unpredictable and that it kind of went down how you would expect it to go down. I mean, this is a cute little small town drama about a veterinarian. It could be a Hallmark movie. This would make a great Hallmark movie, especially because you wouldn't have Cyrus's internal dialogue judging everybody and being like, oh, that girl and her piercings, dude, let her have her piercings, fine. So I did overall very much enjoy this. I definitely didn't enjoy it as much as The Wonder of Lost Causes. And I am excited to read other books by this author, and I expect to have other 5 stars from this author. This just wasn't one of them. So while this was good, and I do plan to read the sequel because there is another book that stars Cyrus, and I'm hoping we get a better personality and a little bit less of the judginess in next book. I do plan on doing that, but this was good. It just wasn't a favorite. It's not one that hit me quite the way like The Wonder of Lost Causes did. So good, not great. If you love dogs and veterinarians and small towns, this is still a really good book. If those are your bookish boxes and buzzwords, pick this up. You'll probably have a really good time with it if you can get past Cyrus. And like I said, we do kind of get the feeling that maybe Cyrus is on the autism spectrum, and maybe that's why he is perceiving the things he perceives. But that's never explicitly spelled out either. Just we get hints because he doesn't like to be touched, he doesn't have a lot of social skills, that kind of thing. Prefers to be behind a microscope instead of with a patient. So, if you've read this, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. If there are other similar books that you can recommend, books with small towns and veterinarians and, you know, not necessarily romances. Like, I like the romances that do this kind of thing, but not necessarily as much as like the family drama type stuff. If you can recommend other books that are similar to this, I would appreciate it. I'm always looking for new books with animals and veterinarians and small towns. Great things. If you are new here, please hit subscribe. If you enjoyed the content, hit like. Also, I remind everybody at the end of my videos, I'm an author. I write mostly romance, so if you have an interest in romance, please check out my books. They're available basically anywhere books are sold. However, I wanted to specifically point out that they are on Overdrive, so if your library subscribes to Overdrive, you may be able to borrow them for free. They are on some of the books are on Kindle Unlimited, so if you have the Kindle Unlimited program, there's a few that you may be able to read for free. I have several on Audible and several in the Audible Romance package, so if you are a member of Audible and get credits, or if you're part of the Romance package, you can also read them for free. I hope you will pick them up and enjoy. Thank you. This has been Jane. Bye.